Welcome back to my channel. I am Srishti and today's video is going to be a little different. That's what I say for every video, but we will go on from here and I'm going to tell you what my video is all about. So today I will be sharing my reading list for 2022, all the books that I want to read, all the books that I want to reread, because I do like to reread a few books, at least the highlights that I've highlighted throughout the book, because some books are such that you want to go back to and go through again, because the message and like the knowledge that they have and the wisdom that they share with you needs to be reread so that you kind of imbibe it and kind of reapply it in your life again and again. So yeah, I will be sharing my reading list for 2022. But before we get on with the video, do not forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already and show me your love. Every subscriber and every subscription that I get on my channel motivates me a lot, so please do that and let's get on with the video. So I think I have around 10 new books that I want to read and a few, I think 5 or 6 old books that I want to reread. And apart from this, I do aim to read like around 2 books a month, which I think is a reasonable target for myself to put. Even if I'm not able to accomplish that, even if I'm able to just read like around 12 to 15 books, I'm happy till the time they're good books and I really am able to apply some of those things in my life. I'm really happy. But yeah, so the first book that I have on my list is this book called The Beyond the Last Blue Mountain. So this book is a biography on J.R.D. Tata. I've already started reading it. I think I would say just a little bit before the exact middle of the book and I am hooked. I personally enjoy reading a lot of biographies, especially of businessmen and sports people. So they kind of really inspire me. I think both something that I personally lack in my life is risk-taking capability, and businessmen as well as sports people and sports persons who've done well in their life kind of really talk about it a lot in their biographies. So I do enjoy reading a lot of biographies and this is something I'm really enjoying reading. So yeah, if you're interested in such biographies, do check it out. The next book that I have on my list is Do Epic Shit. If you don't already know, I'm an Ankur Warikoo fan. I love his content and this is a book by him that he's written. It was supposed to be the first book that I read, but I had already downloaded Beyond the Last Blue Mountain, so I thought maybe I'll read it after that. January was pretty packed. I was traveling for the first bit of January, so I did not get a chance to read a lot. Hence, I'm still completing my first book, but the next book is going to be surely Do Epic Shit by Ankur Warikoo. It is supposedly a book that you can actually pick up and read any page or any chapter. You don't really have to read it in a sequence, which is great. Like, even if you don't want to invest a lot of time in it in terms of a story, then it's great for you. I am sure it's going to be a great read. I am really looking forward to it because I do love Ankur's content on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn as well. So yeah. The next book on my list is Atomic Habits. It's a very, very widely known book. I'm sure you know about it. I do believe in the concept of building habits over probably trying to achieve things that like large goals. I think every large goal that you have to achieve needs to start with a small habit that you really need to build. So yep, I really want to read this book. I actually started reading this book end of last year, but then I don't know what happened. I stopped reading it in the middle and then I never got back to it, but I will get back to it for sure and read this book and tell you how it was. The next book on my list is Thinking Fast and Slow. So I am a very indecisive person. I'm not a very great decision maker. I ponder over my decisions a lot and I've realized that I think logically and then I end up doing something that is comes out of impulse. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. My decisions have worked out in my favor, but I do want to read more about the art of decision making and how you think. So this book kind of talks about two ways of thinking, two systems of thinking. The first system being where you think with impulse or intuition and stuff like that, and the second system being where you think logically. And I really want to read more about it and explore this area more because I really don't know anything about it. I think it'll be a great read for me at least, so that's why it's on my reading list. So the next book on my list is this book called Tiny Beautiful Things. It's by Cheryl Strayed. It's actually a collection of essays on love and life, and I personally really enjoy this topic a lot. Like I really indulge in it. It's like previously I've really read books only around these topics, so I've kind of diversified my interests over time, but I do still hold a interest in this area for sure. So I do want to read this, and I've heard really great things about it, so I'm going to keep you posted when I end up reading it about how I liked it, which essays were my favorite essays, and whether you should pick up this book or not. The next book on my list is this book called The Secret Power. This is by Rhonda Byrne, who has also written The Secret, which is on the power of manifestation. Power is a book that that is based on the power of belief. So I do want to read this a lot. I've heard that this kind of the Secret was very cryptic and very theoretical in general, and I have kind of found a very specific interest in knowing a little bit more about the power of manifestation. So I do want to read Power as well because it kind of I've heard that it gives you a lot of like application based things that you can apply in your life. So I do want to read it, and again, like I'm going to keep you posted. I have high expectations from this book, so let's see if it lives up to that. The next book on my list is this book called The Master. It is a biography on Roger Federer. Like I said, I am a big fan of reading books which are biographies, autobiographies, and especially businessmen and sports people. So Roger Federer is a great sports person, so I'm going to read that book. And yeah, the next book on my list is Kafka on the Shore. It's by one of my favorite writers, which is Haruki Murakami. I have loved reading Murakami books in the past. In fact, Kafka on the Shore is a book that I've read like half of it already. I actually read two books parallelly. That's what I was doing last year. Like I was reading one fiction, one non-fiction book parallelly because I never had a habit of reading non-fiction at all. So to build that habit, I was reading two books parallelly, but then I kind of got hooked to the non-fiction book I was reading at that point of time. So I kind of left it halfway, but I do remember that this story was something that I really enjoyed, so I want to complete it, and I'm going to do that soon. So Kafka on the Shore is on my list. It's kind of sitting high on my list at this point. The next book on this list is Factfulness. So Factfulness is a book that kind of talks about how we as people have we can keep on saying that the world is such a bad place to be in. It's so deteriorating and like things like that, which is, I wouldn't say not true. Like I said, that's what I also think. It is deteriorating, and probably some years before, like probably two generations before, people who lived in this world were better off than we are. But it kind of gives you facts and it tells you how the world has never been better. So I think it's going to be an interesting read, considering the place of thought we come from, and especially I come from at least. So yeah, I want to read this. I hope it gives me some optimism towards the world in general. The next book on my list is Anxious People. Anxious People is written by the same author who's written Man Called Ove, and I loved reading that book last year, so I'm going to read Anxious People as well. It's supposedly a comical fiction novel, and I'm all for fiction, comic, thrill, all sorts of books. So yeah, I'm going to read this book for sure. And the next book on my list is called Red Roulette. So Red Roulette is a book that talks about, it's actually based on a real life incident, and talks about the power dynamics of how things work in current day China. So basically this person was a very good businessman, like an industrialist of sorts, and overnight they kind of went off the grid, and nobody knows from the family or anybody else around knows where they are. Apparently, it has to do with something with the Chinese government. It kind of talks about, it's a commentary on how the Chinese government has always been very uh, what do I say, like very not very nice to people who've risen to power and have like kind of uh, found influence. So yep, I really want to read this because it's going to be interesting read, and I don't really know a lot about China and Chinese politics and Chinese government in general, so I think it'll give me a good insight into that as well. I've only heard things, it's going to give me a good insight into that. I'm looking forward to reading it. Coming to the books that I want to reread, the first book on my list is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, a lot of people have read it. I just want to reread some of the highlights that I made in the book. I do remember feeling great after reading this book, and also imbibing a lot of things. I want to go back to it and see if I have been able to apply most of it in my life, and if not, then apply even more things in my life. The next book that I want to reread is The Psychology of Money. I think this was an eye-opening book for me. I have never been very interested in managing money or wealth in general, but I think it kind of gave me a very good insight and a very good I would say point of view towards wealth and wealth creation. So yeah, I really want to go back to it and read bits and pieces or probably the whole book again, so that I think it was a great book, so I really want to reread it. Similarly, the next book that I want to reread is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I read these two books one after the other, and I think that was the best decision that I ever made, because both the books, like Naval Ravikant is a venture capitalist and he talks about his journey, and he doesn't talk about, the author talks about his journey, and he also talks a lot about wealth creation, Naval in general, and when I tied it with the ideas that were given in Psychology of Money, it kind of really was eye-opening. So these two books I really want to reread. The next book that I want to reread is Tuesdays with Maury. It's the best feel-good book that you will ever read, so please read it. Any chance you get, reread it, whatever. So yeah. And that's about it. That's my reading list for 2022. I'm sure it's going to keep on evolving. I'm going to keep on adding, subtracting books, but these few books are the books that I really want to read, and they have held my interest for quite some time, so might as well get on to reading them this year. And I hope I'm able to read more books apart from these books, but these few books I really want to end up reading. So yeah. And that's all for today. Before saying goodbye, you know what to do. Hit the like button, share this video with as many people as possible, subscribe to my channel, and wait for my next video that comes out next Tuesday. It will be great if you let me know in the comments section also what kind of videos do you enjoy watching, why have you subscribed to my channel, or what kind of content would you like to watch on my channel, and things like that. It'll give me a very good insight into what kind of content I should be creating moving on, because until now I've been creating a mishmash of everything, which I personally like, but I don't know if you guys like, so you tell me. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.